8:34, you are watching Breakfast. Now, Labour are pledging 10,000 extra police officers on the streets of England and Wales if they win June's general election.
The party says it will pay for them by reversing capital gains tax, but the Conservatives have dismissed the plans as nonsensical. Let's grab a word now with the Shadow Home Secretary, Diane Abbott, who's in Westminster for us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to talk to you about this. So, nonsensical, say the Tories. Can you explain where the money comes from and how you're going to fund these 10,000 extra police officers?
Well, I can explain, but first let me say that it's really important that we put more resources into policing because we're seeing a worrying rise in categories of violent crime, including gun crime and knife crime, and we think community policing has an important role to play. We will fund it, as you said, by reversing one of the Tory tax cuts for the rich, the cutting capital gains tax.
Doesn't that money, hasn't that already been apportioned elsewhere? I mean, we're looking back at some of the promises made. It's been said that that's going to be helping schools, going to be spent on welfare and on the arts. So how much money actually is there in that pot?
We've not actually committed to spending that money on anything. What we have said over and over again is that it's one of the Tory tax cuts for the rich that we could use to fund our programme. But I'm this morning saying specifically that we are committing to spending, I think it's about £300 million of the 2.7 billion that you get by reversing the capital gains tax cut. We are committing this morning to spending it on 10,000 extremely needed policemen and women.
But surely you can understand why the Conservatives and others are saying there are holes in your funding plans, because we've had a lot of the capital gains tax promises and the corporation tax savings as well. Are we going to have to wait until your manifesto, and will we see these things specifically costed?
Well, first of all, the reason the Tories are saying this is they don't want to deal with the issues of rising violent crime. They don't want to admit that we've lost 20,000 police officers under the Tories. But I can assure you that every proposal in our manifesto will be fully costed and fully funded.
OK, so we look forward to getting that. Everyone keeps saying wait for the manifesto. We are waiting for these manifestos. It'd be good to actually read where that money is going to be spent and how it will be spent. We're talking a lot this morning, Diane Abbott, about what's been happening with these EU negotiations. I'm sure you've seen what the Conservatives are dismissing as gossip, but we've had some interesting information from one of our BBC reporters, correspondents, talking to senior EU sources. I wonder, with that in mind, and apparently the sort of frosty relationship between Theresa May and Jean-Claude Juncker, what position would Labour be in to negotiate a stronger position? Would they be in a stronger position to negotiate with the EU?
Well, we think we'd be in a better position in relation to the interests of the British people, because what we're committed to is to protecting jobs and living standards. What Theresa May, if you are to believe what EU officials are saying, is totally unrealistic about how you protect the interests of the British people in these negotiations. And it's remarkable that Juncker came out of that dinner with her saying that he was even more sceptical and even more concerned that talks with Theresa May, because she's so unrealistic, are likely to collapse.
We were talking to Nick Clegg about half an hour ago, and Louise mentioned to Nick Clegg about the prospect of working with Labour to form effective opposition against the Tories. I can read you what Nick Clegg said. He says there's no remote chance of the Liberal Democrats are going to go into a coalition either with Theresa May or Jeremy Corbyn. He then went on to say nobody believes Jeremy Corbyn is going to be Prime Minister of this country. Everyone assumes Theresa May will be PM. He used the phrase coalition of chaos, which others are using as well. I wonder where that would be on your agenda, a possible link-up with the Liberal Democrats. Well,
if Nick Clegg wants to talk about a very unfortunate coalition, he needs to think about his coalition with the Tories, which was the result that his MPs dropped to just 8 or 9.
What about the future?
The future is that we are fighting this election to win. We're not talking about coalitions with anybody because we're not planning to be in coalition with anybody.
OK, Diane Abbott, thank you for your time this morning. Good to talk to you.